This is the part where we should start the presentation. But before we proceed with the presentation proper, we have here our special guest, Max, the CEO of Talkpush, is here with us today to give us a quick intro on the history of recruitment advertising. So I'll stop sharing my screen, Max, so you can share yours. And
okay.
There.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
There you go.
Thanks, Carla. So can you see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay, great. Well, I'm only going to take a few minutes, and I'm only going to give a little bit of context for those who are still relatively new to, let's say, less than 10 years in the recruitment space, and remind everybody that job boards have not been around for that long. They've only really been around for 20, 22 years, perhaps, all in. And initially, the first job boards, the ones that kind of kicked off the whole industry, were boards called Monster and Craigslist. And at the time, it was very disruptive, and Hot Jobs actually, which was a Yahoo product. And at the time, it was a very disruptive offer because it meant that classifieds were no longer going to be on print media, and it was moving to job boards. There was a sort of a shockwave through the industry when one job board decided to disrupt the whole ecosystem by aggregating jobs from different places. The name of that job board is Indeed. And I'm sure you're all familiar with it because using this strategy, it elevated the ranking and the visibility of jobs everywhere for all job boards, and eventually became itself the leading marketplace for all jobs, and eventually started selling out its ad space and is now the leading job board worldwide. While it's true in some geographies, like in the Philippines, we have a number of people in the Philippines on this call, there was a dominant job board that's been able to protect its leading market share. So JobStreet and JobsDB from the Seek group have usually a number 1 or number 2 position in its respective markets, and it's in most of the emerging market. Indeed is, and that's true as well in other parts of the world. There's many countries where there's like one dominant job board where they still invest in marketing, they still do events, they do career fairs, and that brings in a lot of traffic in. The same strategy that Indeed applied 10 years ago to launch its platform is actually becoming ubiquitous amongst other companies as well. We see other companies are listing jobs that are not, technically theirs, that are taking from other job boards. And you can notice that today with what's happening with Google. So I'm going to share with you some statistics on what's happening with those new platforms, the rise of the free platforms, which I think are going to really change the world of recruitment advertising over the next couple of years. I mean, they have already, as you'll be able to see. The way to look at it, the way I look at it, is I look at these mega platforms, the big tech giants, and what they do in the job market. And I believe that Amazon will probably be another logo added there soon. And then all these job boards that are still have between 15 and 20% of market share globally, and that are fighting to stay alive against the big four. So what is Google Jobs? Well, if you're not familiar with it, all you have to do is go to Google and you can type in a job and in your location, sales representative, Hong Kong. I'm in Hong Kong right now. I could type that in, or any old job, and you'll start to see jobs that are listed. So here, if I go on this job, for example, and I click here, it's going to take me directly to this listing, and you can see all these jobs. So I typed in Alorica, Manila, CSR rep, and you can see all these jobs that are listed here. And what's interesting, what I want to draw your attention to is, where are these jobs actually originally coming from? nobody actually went to Google and put in this data. What they did is they put in the data in other systems. So here you can see this one came through Talkpush, this one came from Nuvu, this one came from World Bank, and many other sources. So what Google has managed to do with Google Jobs is create a system that's going to automatically populate its database with all these thousands of jobs, and it becomes the great aggregator. So so if you have all this visibility for free and all these jobs listed, eventually you can see where this is going. Perhaps this will become a threat for many job boards in the same way that Indeed disrupted the job board industry for others. So today we have more than, this is statistics from just last month. Google Jobs picks jobs from over 5,000 sources on the internet. So that's pretty amazing. And when you look at the number of jobs that are listed on Google Jobs every month, it's more than 5 million jobs, which is more than the new jobs being listed on LinkedIn today. So a very impressive number. Now, I don't have any more better statistics to share with you because this data is not published openly. So nobody knows exactly how many jobs are listed, and they don't publish this information. But I went to a third-party website called Rank Ranger, and they published this data saying that already it's almost twice the size of the number of jobs posted on LinkedIn. So this just really tells you how fast this has taken over. And I think, considering it didn't even exist 2 years ago, that's quite amazing. So is this the end of the job board? Not at all. In fact, because Google is actually driving traffic to the job board, it will increase traffic, at least in the short term. And for us in the middle of this coronavirus crisis, we can see that this is the volumes of applications going through Talkpush, and we can see that the volume of candidates is increasing rapidly over this crisis. A lot of people looking for jobs right now. And so if we look at all the people who are applying for jobs to the job board, that volume is increasing, which is an increase. Particularly, we see a big increase from job streets in the last month, in the month of May in the Philippines. Okay, so that's for Google Jobs. So expect, I thought it's important for you to know that what Google is doing, and also to make sure that whatever platform you're using, ATS, CRM, or job board, to understand, make sure that it is integrated with Google Jobs and that you maximize your visibility on Google. Now, Facebook Jobs, what is it? Well, all you have to do is go to facebook.com/jobs to find out, if you're not familiar with this platform already. And you can search jobs all over the world. And this is a platform which is doing incredibly well right now. Again, same as Google, they don't have to publish any data. They're new in the job space, and they're trying to figure out what their role will be. So don't expect to see any graphics on the volume that Facebook Job is doing. I don't have it, even though I met the people at Facebook Jobs and I know the people there. They're not going to tell me exactly how many jobs are listed or so on. But I know we're talking about millions of jobs. And if you look at the number of job applications that have been processed through Facebook Jobs inside Talkpush, and Talkpush is the company that I represent, which processes millions of candidates every month. And what we've seen is that the volume is increasing rapidly. And so it's to a certain degree, it's a measure of the fact that we're very well integrated with the platform, but it's also because, well, simply put, the platform is doing well. It's very popular. And I expect that you're going to see these numbers grow, and that Facebook will definitely want to be an active participant in bringing the whole economy back to work. Those 40 million Americans who are looking for a job, where are they going to go? Well, if Facebook can help them go back to employment, obviously that's very good PR for them. And so I don't see, I see them as probably wanting to advocate that. And as I said on Talkpush, at least we're seeing a really good rapid increase. And this is, the blue line is all the job boards, which is increasing, and then Facebook Jobs just taken over in recent months. Okay, and I'm just gonna share a little video here. This is coming soon, so I expect it to come out sometime end of June maybe. But we are the first recruitment software at Talkpush, which will allow for candidates who apply for a job at Facebook Job, which is what you're seeing here, and go through the entire application process without having to check their email or use SMS. They apply and immediately it goes straight into Facebook Messenger. And from Facebook Messenger, well, we have the technology to allow for the candidates to basically continue from there and go on to do interviews and pre-screening and so on. But to do the entire end-to-end experience, the entire application without having to go through email, everything on Facebook Messenger for better conversion rates and a better candidate experience. So I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of that coming up soon, and I can't wait to hear what David and Adam are going to present. They're some of the leading experts in their field, very experienced in recruitment marketing, and we have a lot to learn from them. Carla?
Thank you, Max. What you shared with us are really great insights, and the feature coming up in Talkpush is I'm really excited with that feature. So I hope it comes out soon. So I'll be sharing my screen again, guys, because they said...
I forgot to say something. I forgot to say that neither Google Jobs or Facebook Job is asking for money. There's no advertising option today, but Facebook Job will probably have that available later this year. So, you know, expect that you'll be able to invest into this platform and add advertising spend to Facebook Jobs very soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that, Max. So they said recruiters are also marketeers, and I personally believe on that as well, since I also worked as a recruiter before. But however, I would like to know how many of you guys in this webinar today think that you are also a marketeer? You should be able to see a poll on your screens right now. So please answer if you think that you are already a marketeer, you're trying to be one, or not at all. So let's just wait for a few minutes. And there we already got the results. So 46% of you guys think that you are absolutely a marketeer. 39% are still in the middle. And 14% answered not at all. So that's interesting. So let's see if the numbers will change after this webinar. So now let's proceed with our first speaker. We have here Adam, the founder of Applichat. So hi, Adam, please tell us about yourself and your company. And I will stop sharing my screen so you can share yours.
Thank you very much, Carla. Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Chambers. I'm the founder of Applichat, and we help recruiters who have too many open roles fill them using social media sourcing. So we specialize in helping people like you find candidates from outside the job boards where there's a lot of competition and build all your roles in a shorter period of time. Today, if I just share my screen, I'm going to show you some of the strategies which we've been using in the Philippines, in Canada, in the USA to get those sort of hard to find candidates. And I'm going to use a particular example, and that is of nursing. As I'm sure you're all aware, across the world there is a massive nursing shortage, and that's why so many Filipino nurses are brought into the United States and Canada. But this is really applicable for every kind of role that you might have, because we're going to be focusing on disrupting patterns and making offers to source candidates through social media. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the opportunity which exists on Facebook and which Max was talking about, and then how you can actually take advantage of that opportunity, which most recruiters, let's be honest, are not doing at the moment. So just to start off here, I've got two points I want you to sort of let sit in your head. The first is that Facebook and Instagram get 10 times more the average monthly visitors of job boards. The second is the average person spends 2 hours a day on those platforms, and you can see there that 71% of Filipinos spend 4 or more hours each day on social media. I'm going to use an example of nursing just to make this very clear to everybody, because sometimes taken out of context, it doesn't quite have the same impact. We looked at the largest hospitals and medical centers in a province of Canada, and we found that 974 jobs were advertised by them on Indeed. We looked at the same institutions and found that only 20 were advertised on Facebook. So whenever you think about it, whenever 10 times more people are going on Facebook for a lower amount of jobs, the ratio of actual visitors to the websites per job advertised is mind-blowing. Here's the opportunity which exists for you all today, using the advice I'm going to give you, which you can take away to start beating the competition and sourcing candidates on Facebook better. You can see here for Indeed, for these roles, we found there's 5 to 10 visitors per advertised job. On Facebook, there was over 3,000. So this is an opportunity, but wait, there is a problem, and getting the Facebook formula right isn't going too well for recruiters. So look at this graph. From all categories of advertising on Facebook, job ads are actually the lowest clicked. So that means if 1,000 people see a Facebook job ad, just under 0.5% will click it. If those same people see a retail ad, over 1.5% will click it, so 3 times more. And I think that's because, and I found this was the case with nursing recruiters, and I'm not sure if you feel this as well, there's a few things which people are doing to sabotage their sourcing efforts on Facebook. So the first would be asking people to submit a CV directly. Have you ever seen an ad on Facebook which says, submit your CV now to apply? Really, when I showed you those 3,000 people per job advertised, they're what we all call passive candidates. So they're not actively seeking a job, and they don't have the resume up to date and ready to send to you. So that's going to get a massive drop off, because you're asking them to make a lot of effort for something which they don't know a lot about yet, and they're not ready to make that investment. Another problem people have been facing is making too direct calls to action. So shouting, apply now in the ad before people even know who you are. And finally, it's linking to career sites which aren't really mobile optimized. So that means whenever people click on your website and they see a long page where they need to submit a registration, input a password, upload a photo, tell you the name of their mother, it's going to create a massive drop off as well. And I know Talkpush solves this problem. So what is the solution? How can I help you work to get more candidates through Facebook and solve these problems? At Applichat, we call it pattern breaking offers, and this is what we're employing for those nursing roles in Ontario, and we're actually getting 4 to 5 times more results using this strategy. We split it into 3 parts, which I would like you all to take away today. I want this to be a very actionable presentation where at the end you can go straight over to your computer and edit your Facebook job ads appropriately using these strategies. So you really need to do 3 things to the scroller on Facebook. So the first one is you need to stop them scrolling. You need to make sure whenever they see your advertisement, their attention is brought to that advertisement and they put their finger down on the phone and they stop looking at everything else. So as we know, people's attentions are very diffused these days. They're looking at cat pictures, they're looking at their parents' holiday, maybe not during coronavirus, but before. And what we need to do is grab their attention with a striking image which stops them scrolling. The next stage is to convince them to engage with the ad. So we need to make an offer which relates to them and which is relevant to them, which is going to make them actually engage with it and increase that below 0.5% rate of engagement at the moment. Finally, we want to provide an accessible way to exchange more information. So as I mentioned earlier, sending them to a career site where they need to create an account where it's not mobile optimized, that can often break things up. What I'm going to show you today is alternative ways to let people sort of begin a journey with you, get to know you, come into your candidate pipeline, and ultimately become a candidate. So I'd like to ask a poll now. How many feet do you think the average person scrolls per day?
How many mobile screens are in 1 feet, 1 foot?
Let me just measure that. It's 2 for me.
2 iPhones? Depends on the size of your feet.
So I'm not sure. Yeah, say 2 feet. Okay. So we have 300 feet. Also, I got a question in the chat about best practice. I'm gonna come on to that whenever we get to our section on making offers. So that will be in about 5 minutes time. So definitely get onto that, and I'm excited to do it. The answer is actually 300 feet. So yeah, you guys are an intelligent bunch. Well done. That surprised me. I wouldn't have got that. 300 feet is the size of the Statue of Liberty. So you might say, you know, I don't go to the gym these days, but your fun is getting an intense workout during this lockdown, because if you're an average person, you're scrolling 300 feet, and I probably scroll more personally, actually. So that's the reality, right? So people are scrolling so much, we need to get them to stop in their tracks, and it's a really difficult thing to do if they're scrolling that much and that fast. I'm going to tell you the solution which we're using, okay? But I just want to know first, who uses stock photos at the moment then? What do you think about stock photos? What's your opinion on them? Let's see. Okay. So we have 22% said it's okay, 47 says sometimes, 22% is a last resort, and 9% never. So I come in at that last resort stage. The reason is, for me, stock photos do not rake the patterns sufficiently on social media for people to click on them. What we need to do is actually ditch the stock photos, which are kind of, they're seen a lot and they look generic. And whenever I see a stock photo, it doesn't say to me, wow, I need to look at that photo. It doesn't engage with something inside me which is alive and which believes in something. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that now. What you should be doing, and I understand most of you are in-house recruiters, is engaging with your target candidates' inside desires and reasons why they do a particular job. So, for example, the nurses on the left work in an ICU in Toronto, and we asked the hospital, why do people enjoy doing this? They said they enjoy using the most high-tech equipment and the closeness of their team. So we said, do you have any pictures which would demonstrate that? Because we imagine that a lot of nurses would have a similar desire in different hospitals. They said, yeah, we can take one, and this is what they came up with. So you can see here, they've got a picture of the team members. They've got them all looking at the camera in the process of actually doing their job in the hospital. And this got over 3 times as many engagements and as a stock photo we put up as a test. The second picture over here says the same thing. It's people at their job, enjoying their job, doing what is meaningful to them at the job. So to get people to stop and look at this, I would really encourage you all to go into your office, ask your employees, why do you like being here? What do you enjoy about it? What do you dislike about it? And then try and come up with pictures, and even take pictures yourself of them engaging in those actions. What that does is it makes people stop and look at it, because if you imagine, say, a sales agent across different companies, their desires usually are quite similar, and you need to sort of communicate with that inner desire which they have. So that was the first one, okay, and I want you to keep that in mind. So use good photos of people doing the job so you can engage with candidates' inner wants and desires. The second point is the most important, and that is actually making an offer. So again, 0.47% of people click these ads, and actually it's less than that who apply. Okay, so we found maybe 1 in 10% of people who will click actually end up applying. And I think that's because, as I mentioned earlier, there's a problem where we're, as recruiters, we often want to think about how can we get the most out of this candidate. So what can they do for us? What sort of company are we? And my philosophy, which works especially well with nurses, and which I'm going to refer to now in response to that question, is communicating with the needs, the wants, the fears and desires of your target candidates. So what I'm going to do is go through this, okay? I'm going to pick apart it, and I'm going to tell you the points which you should be inputting into your own job ads. The first point is, let's have a look at it here. Call out the pain points they experience in their current job, okay? So whenever you're actually writing job ads, it's really useful to ask, why are you applying to this job? And you're going to find so many interesting topics which you can put into your future job ads. We found that whenever we were writing these previously, people said in their previous jobs, they were doing a lot of admin, which distracted them from doing their actual job, which was saving lives. So in this advertisement, we call that out. We say our technology drastically reduces admin so you can focus at what you're best at, caring for the sickest of the sick. What this does is it makes the candidates immediately recognize you are the solution to their problem, okay? And this is pretty simple to do. It's just a matter of surveying your current candidates, your current employees, and asking them what they dislike about their current job and what they disliked about their previous job. The second point is actually let them know why the new role will be of direct benefit to their lives. So once we've called out the problem, we go into the solutions of the problem. So the candidate, the scroller has the problem here. You want to acknowledge that, make it about them, and then come in as the solution to the problem. So we said here, we will reduce your admin to help you care for the sickest of the sick. What follows is we actually make the offer then. So we say you'll get a free bursary, the opportunity to do less admin, experience working in a digital command center. This reinforces the reasons why a candidate would ever want to work with your company. It gets them to click, and it ultimately gets them to apply more than if you just say, we're hiring, we have a job. That might get enough candidates at the moment, but even if there is a pool of too many candidates and it's easy to get applicants, you always should be targeting the best applicants, the people who work at your competitors who are doing well there. So that's why it's always important to have high standards on this. The third point is name the clear reasons for taking action. So at the bottom here, you can see we enforced that. We said less admin, more life-saving. So name those things, name why they should take action and why they should do it now. Finally, the reason why they should do it now is there should always be a sense of urgency about this. So you can see here, we said we're seeking 2 new nurses this month. That was our limit. Even if you have, year-round hiring and it's unlimited, you always should mention that there's limits to the amount of people you take to interview or the amount of people you ultimately hire, because you're not currently hiring an unlimited amount of people. So that's point 2, okay? That is the actual offer, which I want you to all go away and create using research you do with your candidates, your employees, and using research which you find whenever you ask why people apply in the first place. What I'm going to do is just have a look at the Q&A here. So quickly going to go over these. So in terms of nurses, we found that, as I mentioned, nurses enjoy doing life-saving. That's why they got into the job. They also enjoy education and training and working in a strong team. So put those into the ads. But again, you should survey your current nurses and your current candidates to find out what they in that particular region of the Philippines want, because it's going to be different everywhere. So how can you make your photos stand out? Sure. So I think that that is a problem. And I actually was given a client who only had stock photos. What I did was I edited them. I put like an interesting coloring on them, and then I put a little box in it which had the offer. So just in the bottom right, I put the offer which we created. We reinforced that offer. Another thing I've seen done quite well is using memes. So using joke ads. I could show you one of them later, where you just sort of, capture people's attention why they dislike being a call center agent, and that gets them to stop as well. I think in the interest of time, we can come back to those, but I'm going to complete this and then we can come back to them. So the final point, which we're going to go over, is how can we actually solve the problem of a lot of drop-off. Okay, so we had get them to stop scrolling with an eye-catching image. We had make an offer which appeals to their deepest desires. Number 3 is use what I call alternative calls to action. So this is a way of, again, people are on Facebook, they're scrolling 300 feet a day, they're talking to their friends. It's a relaxed environment. A lot of them aren't quite ready to make a job application there and then. Some of them are, and we all get candidates through that. But ideally, you want to take as many people in as possible for your investment into Facebook, your ad spend. And when it comes to nurses, that's quite a scarce position. So we need every email and phone number we can get, so we can send them sequences of emails, text to try and get them to learn a little bit more about our employer brand and potentially apply in the future. So there's some alternative ways which we can do that, which we can use to engage with candidates and get them to maybe apply in the future. And these are alternative calls to action. So instead of saying, we're hiring, apply now, what I'm saying you should do is say, hey, this is your pain, this is how we can solve it. Now you can click learn more to find out if this is a good match, click send message to find out how much you could earn, or click sign up to see what a day in the life of our hospital is like. These increase the engagement on your posts, on your ads, and Facebook will promote these above their competitors. Even if it's for Facebook for jobs, the most popular ones are going to be ads which are getting the most clicks and engagement and getting the most actual people submitting their information. So I would really encourage you to test this out. Facebook ads are great because you can make 5 to 10 to 20 to 100 different versions of the same ad. What you can do is test out the call to action, so see if people click learn more to see if it's a good match, or if they click sign up to see what a day in the life is like more. Always be testing it out and employ this technique to get more, ultimately, emails and phone numbers into your system. So instead of sending them to a longer application form, send them to a shorter one on the first page where you can get that information. And then on the next page, they'll have a longer one. If they don't complete that, you have the vital information so you can reach out to them in the future. So to summarize, okay, there's a massive opportunity on Facebook. We found that for nurses in Ontario, there's 3,500 people visit per job advertised. And I'm sure in the Philippines, it's either the same or larger, because a lot of companies aren't really catching on to Facebook yet. That's why you have the advantage. So do these 3 things to improve. Stop them scrolling with a real life image or a well-edited image, or an image which has a little box in it, which has an offer, something which breaks the pattern and isn't just a stock photo from Pexels or and other stock photo website. The second point is convince them to engage with the ad. So use a relevant offer. Talk to your current candidates and your current employees. Find out what their pain points are, their desires, their reasons for doing that role. Nurses, we found it was doing less admin, more life-saving. Put that into the ad. Put that in front of them. Make them stop scrolling. We got 21 applications in 72 hours using that message, and we spent less than $100. The third point is provide an accessible way for them to exchange more information. So use Talkpush, get them into Messenger, or send them to an apply page where they only have to put in a little bit of their phone number, their email, their background in the first page, and then the second page is a longer questionnaire, or indeed get them to click learn more to find out how much they could earn, send a message to see if they're a good match, that sort of thing, which increases the engagement and ultimately gets you more applicants. So there's the 3 points. Go away and do them, okay? So what I'd love you all to do is, if you have Facebook job ads, or if you don't have them at the moment, take a few days, create those advertisements, and then, sorry, that's my phone. Create those advertisements, and then send me a message on LinkedIn, okay? Send me a message and say how you got on. Tell me what your results were, where you think it went well, where you think it went bad, and I will be happy to advise you for free on how you could solve those problems and get your applications up. So thanks very much for listening. Again, it's Adam Chambers, Applichat on LinkedIn. There's my QR code. Blanche or Carla, do we have time for questions, or should we answer the rest at the end?
We're going to answer them at the end of this webinar. So
Okay.
thank you so much, Adam. I agree that it's quite hard to really make your candidates click on ads and stand out, especially with the amount of distractions on Facebook. So we appreciate your insights, and I'm sure our guests are excited to try out your tips and also get that free consultation with you via LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So make sure to connect with Adam on LinkedIn, guys, if you want free consultations on what he just shared with us. Okay. So now, thank you guys for sending in your questions. We will be responding to them at the end of this webinar. So now for our second speaker, the CEO of ThinkCrumbs will be sharing his insights about an ideal candidate experience. So, hi David, how are you?
Carla, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I'll stop sharing my screen so you can share yours. And you can go ahead.
Okay. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So to give myself a short introduction, and thank you to Adam and Max also, great presentation right there. My name is David Lim. I am the CEO and founder of ThinkCrumbs. Essentially, we are a full-service digital agency. And the reason why company essentially exists is because we bring our clients results. And essentially, that's my main focus for today as well. So what I want to take you through today is essentially controlling the narrative and making sure you're optimizing your ad strategy for your ideal customer experience. And what does this mean? It essentially means that we want to make sure that we take a look at the data on the back end, front end, all the way from the end to end, from when you have a first touch point with your potential talent, all the way to the end. So I'd like to pose a question first. First and foremost is that are we communicating the right way to talent, right? And when I say communicating the right way, this means based on position, based on technical requirements, and based on talent personas. The same way we communicate to, I'd say, an upper management, middle management, is different the way we communicate. We communicate with lower management type of talent.
Hey,
So
David. Sorry to cut you off. Your line is kind of robotic sometimes, your mic.
Oh, sorry. Let me just adjust that a bit. Is now better?
Not really.
Okay, give me a moment.
There it's better. Can you try speaking again?
Or maybe try Kemi's computer for the audio.
Yeah. Am I still kind of choppy right now?
It's better than earlier.
Okay. I guess
Okay.
should we proceed?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Okay. So what I'd like to discuss next actually is let's talk about your ad objectives, right? So I know we have a couple of marketers here in the chat right now, and you guys probably have some experience with doing Facebook ads, and that's perfect. But then what I see also happening is that most people don't understand that the type of objective you actually utilize on Facebook will definitely affect the way your ad is optimized, or I'd say how your ad is optimized, the way you let the machine learn from it. So let me go through three types of ad objectives from the left to the right. First and foremost, on the left side, what was actually playing was from McDonald's. This was become a branch manager, become a restaurant manager type of ad. So in this type of ad, it's very, it triggers emotion, it triggers a lot of thought. And for something like this, it's less of a direct response type of marketing tactic, right? Less of a direct response type of creative. It's more on engagement, it's more on brand awareness. And the whole purpose of utilizing this ad is to reach more people. So for something like this, I definitely go for a brand awareness or reach type of objective, wherein you want people to know what you're trying to push out, maybe have a specific campaign. Utilizing that brand awareness or reach type of objective on Facebook is definitely what you have to go for. On the middle, we have something called a page post engagement. So this is something that we call a PPE campaign on Facebook. And the whole purpose of this campaign is essentially to get more people to react to your specific ad. What happens here is the example I actually place here is an ad from VXI. And this was when they invited a couple of people to their office or to some place, and they asked them what they thought of call center agents, right? What was their first thought when they thought of call center agents? And most of their answers were pretty negative. They were barbaric. They weren't disciplined. They have issues when it comes to education. And what they didn't know at the end of the call was that the call center agent was actually just beside them the whole time, listening to the opinions being given to them. So although this video, the full video is actually 9 minutes long, and for something like this, I would definitely go for a page post engagement type of advertisement. The page post engagement objective is to let more people engage with what you're trying to say as well. Now, it's a little bit different from brand awareness and reach. There's like a fine line there when a brand awareness and reach objective is aimed towards reaching more people, wherein a page post engagement is getting more people to react to your sort of brand. So honestly, you can interchange both of those objectives. It's all about A/B testing, seeing which one works best for your brand. Now, if I go to the right, another objective that I see a lot of people using also is a direct to messenger ad. Direct to messenger ad, we all know this, is that when we push out an ad, when somebody clicks on the call to action, immediately they land on the messenger chat. So what you see here is some ads from Concentrix. The creative essentially is highlighting how much you can earn. Now, I have no bias to which creative works best. Honestly, how I see it is it should work best based on your customer journey, right? Based on your first touch point all the way to the last touch point of how you interact with these customers. So for something like what Concentrix did, it's essentially a more direct messaging response, wherein we really want the customer to click on that send message. Wherein for a brand awareness or a page post engagement, we're a little bit banking on the more organic side. When they watch the video, they get interested, go to the website probably and take action. But overall, at the end of the day, I cannot stress this enough that the goal of an ad is to get a click. And that's very important here in the marketing industry from where I come from, is that we always have to remember that the goal of an ad is to get a click. The goal of an ad isn't to convert somebody immediately. The goal of an ad isn't immediately somebody to take action and finally submit their resume and all that. The only goal of an ad is to get a click. Now, the next question really is, but what happens after the click? I see a lot of people leading direct to Messenger, leading direct to the landing page, but it seems like it's not fully thought out yet. So what I wanted to actually talk about today is actually what happens after somebody clicks on the ad. So this is use case number one, wherein on the left side, you have a direct response creative, you have a brand awareness creative, whatever it may be, and you can lead it directly to a landing page. A landing page could be your career page, it could be your job page, a specific job page, whatever it may be. Now, the thing here is that what I see a lot of people do is that when they do this type of use case, wherein they do an ad, lead it to a landing page, maybe a career or job page, the page itself is not conversion focused, all right? So a conversion focused landing page is not a page wherein we just put a video, put a headline, put an opt-in form. That is the worst example of a conversion focused landing page. Now, if you're going to ask me, a conversion focused landing page would be, let's say, if it was a job page, I'd highlight the hopes, dreams, pains, especially of the position we're trying to hire for. We'd also highlight maybe the benefits, maybe put in some testimonials. And if not, maybe you can put in a brand video as well. So in that case, banking on what Adam said a while ago, is that once we discover the hopes, pains, dreams, fears of the customer, and what you're essentially doing is matching them up with a conversion-focused landing page, could be your job page or career page, then you're not wasting your budget. Different levels of companies have different levels of budget, medium, high, low, and we want to be careful of how we spend that. To take a look at the numbers, how much we're spending to get the lead, and how much we're actually spending to make things more effective. Now, after you have that direct response creative, and then you have your conversion landing focused page, what the next step is actually is your follow through, right? This could be a scheduling system. This could be a qualification questionnaire. This could be a third-party solution type of tool, or maybe a feedback loop. So most of the time, your landing page will have an opt-in form. That opt-in form can ask for information directly from the customer, or depending on your customer journey, you can place it as a call to action button, just like a link click, and leave it, let it go to a third-party solution, or maybe a qualification questionnaire or whatever. Now, the good thing with the landing pages, and going back to it, is the goal of the landing page is really to qualify and convert, right? The more important here is we're receiving a lot of traffic every single day to your website, maybe 50, 100, 200, 500, depending on the amount. We want to make sure that the traffic we're getting into is also qualified, right? Also depending on the, I'd say, the position you're trying to hire for. So whatever your customer journey looks like, and this is totally up to you guys, from your landing page going straight to your scheduling system, your qualification questionnaire, you want to make sure that this system that you build is fully automated. This process flow is automated for you. Definitely something what Talkpush does as well. And at the end of it, you're only left with talent that you actually want to hire. So in essence, this is what we call a full conversion funnel as well. Now let's move on to use case number 2. Now use case number 2 is much more simpler to understand. It's when we bring somebody who clicks from the ad directly to the messenger part of Facebook. Now, most of the time, usually, ideally, that your messenger is already equipped with a chatbot, similar to what you see on my screen with Talkpush, wherein essentially what the messenger chatbot does is it already qualifies the customer for you, utilizing different types of methods. With a mix of custom fields, with a mix of different texts and questionnaires, and probably some links as well. Once you merge them and once you marry them all together, the goal of the messenger, again, is really to qualify and convert. Now, a lot of people ask me what's usually the best thing to do. Is it leading the customer to the landing page, or leading the customer to the messenger chat? I have no bias against that as well. Now, the only thing there is if you're going to lead your talent and lead your traffic to a landing page, then you better be sure that landing page is conversion focused. Otherwise, we're just leaving money on the table and we're wasting our time, and we're not really seeing the full flow of the data, right? So that's definitely something we have to take into account. Right? So the next question is, what's next? You know, we took a look at our ads. We have the flow of what happens. We have the conversion-focused landing page. We know that we have to lead them to the bot itself and have a follow-through, which is a qualification, a scheduling tool, or third-party software. The cool thing is that the next thing that we really want to pay attention to is your analytics and tracking. So honestly, we don't know what we don't know, or you don't know what you don't know. The data that we're missing out, or the data points that we're not actually tracking, can affect our whole customer journey in a big way. So this is definitely something that I see a lot of digital marketers don't really address as much, and don't really understand as much as well. So let's keep it simple for today. So where do we start? So the good thing is how we start is we have two different platforms. We have Facebook and we have Google, right? So Facebook already offers something to us called the Facebook Pixel. And a Facebook Pixel allows you to essentially track different things on the website, such as tracking website visits, who's looking at which page, who is spending time on your website, what pages are they taking a look at. Also, a Facebook Pixel can also allow you to track form submissions. So in each landing page, who's submitting the form, and how long do they take before they actually submit the form. And with that, with the Facebook Pixel, we can also track link clicks. So link clicks essentially mean which part of the website they're actually clicking. And also with Facebook Pixel, we can also track page scrolls. So if you have a long landing page, essentially a conversion-focused landing page, you want to pay attention to which part of the website are people taking a look at, right? And this is what we call heat mapping, essentially. And heat mapping is we can install a piece of code to the website wherein you can actually track which specific part of the page are people leaving, which part of the page are actually clicking. And the cool thing is this is actually possible with Talkpush as well. And we'll go through that in a little bit. The next part is you have GA and GTM. This is Google Analytics paired up with Google Tag Manager. And with Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, you can actually track, let's say, the bounce rate. You want to be able to track time spent on the pages. You want to take a look at the top pages being visited on the website. For example, let's say you have a career page and probably you have a 50, 100 job positions available. You wanna think and take a look at, okay, which part of these pages are getting visibility organically, right? Without you having to spend, without you having to do any paid boosting, which of these positions are already getting organic traffic? So this is a question of being prudent with our ad spend, right? We want to make sure that if we have more crucial positions that aren't getting any organic traffic, then we can actually push out more paid traffic to those landing pages as well, assuming that we have the Facebook Pixel and the Google Analytics and GTM installed. So with all of these things, we can track, and this is only just we barely scratch the surface on the things we can track here. But taking a look at these things, once we are able to track these things, what I want to show you next is actually what they give you. So this is when the power of data comes in. And I cannot stress enough how powerful the data can be. So let's say with Facebook Pixel, paired up with your Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, you are already able to see which job positions are getting organic traffic, which job positions are getting no traffic, which ones have the highest bounce rate, which one have the highest exit rate. With high bounce rates, you want to make sure that, okay, then we got to improve the content here in the page. If people are seeing on an average.
David, sorry.
Yeah.
Your line is getting robotic again.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Sorry guys for the technical difficulties. It really happens when we're live.
Yeah, is now a little bit better?
Yeah, it is. So continue.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Yeah, internet's been kind of choppy. Gotta talk to PLDT. Yeah, so going back to it, What the power of data can actually give you is, aside from taking a look at which jobs actually need boosting, it's how do you actually leverage more on machine learning, right? So I'll give you a quick example here, a very definite, actionable example, is that let's say you have your Facebook pixel already installed on your pages. What you can actually do is delay the triggering of your pixel. So if I go back to the previous slide, you'll notice that we're tracking time spent on pages. People who are spending more time on your pages, taking a look at the content that you're actually pushing out, taking a look at what offers the benefits that the job position can actually have. And these are people who are more interested in what you have to offer. These people are probably the talent that you may want to speak to, people who are more interested in staying with you versus just looking for any other job out there. So what we want to do is, with that pixel, with the Facebook pixel, you can actually delay when the triggering of the event happens. Meaning, if we decide that, okay, the optimized behavior of a person is that when they spend 30 seconds on a website, that's the ideal time of spend that happens. That's the best talent. So what happens is, we optimize the machine and telling the machine that we are looking for people who are willing to spend 30 seconds on the website. So they take a look at the content, they take a look at our features, our highlights, the benefits. They really want to see what we have to offer. And this is leveraging on the machine learning part of Facebook Pixel and also GA and GTM. Now, with GA and GTM, essentially it means that again, you want to take a look at which pages are getting visibility organically, which ones are buried, and you pair it up with Facebook Pixel. But you also want to take a look at which pages are getting a low rate of conversion, right? So let's say you're doing 850 ad sets, maybe 20 ads all at the same time, all leading to different job pages. And you want to take a look at which pages are actually low converting, meaning the amount of traffic that we send to this website. How many are we getting out of it? If we send 100, are we getting 50 leads? Are we getting 20, maybe 10? Or if we're pushing out 100 people to this website, are we getting 100 leads from that website? So this type of strategy is not only applicable in the world of recruiting, it is applicable in almost all industries across all the boards. And this is what the power of data can do for you. Now, the cool thing is also with the landing pages, since we can actually attach both the Pixel and GTM with the Talkpush website, is that you have access to other third-party solutions as well that you can install through GTM. There's a lot of it out there, but one of them was the one I highlighted before, which was the heat mapping of the website and taking a look at which part of the website people are actually clicking, how long they're actually staying, and which part they leave to. Now, the next question is that, okay, so we know how to create a funnel, we're leading them to the landing page, we're leading them to Messenger. The next question is that how do we look out for our low-hanging fruits? And how do we actually know and understand if we're already communicating with them the right way? And this can happen through different types of strategies or tactics. And for the marketers out there, this is what we call retargeting. Retargeting essentially means re-engaging with your past consumer, re-engaging with your past visitor, user, whatever it may be, through different methods. And I am an honest believer that there is a lot of power in essentially retargeting. Since what actually happens from a day-to-day basis, and probably you guys have experienced it as well, is that when you're scrolling through Facebook, maybe when you're scrolling through online, probably you get distracted. You got to go to the kitchen, you got to go to the restroom, probably taking public transport, whatever it may be. But then day by day, consumers have their customer journey stop, right? So when they first interact with your brand, when they get distracted, it stops there. What we have to do as power marketers with data, it's actually re-engage with these consumers in different ways. And I'll go through 3 ways here. Number 1 is based on video views. Now, going back to my first example at the very start, let's say with the creative from McDonald's become a brand manager, or the creative from VXI wherein it explains the passion of people. And you have a 1 minute 30-second video, you have a video that's 9 minutes. And what the Pixel can do, and what Facebook, what Google Analytics can do, is can actually track how long are people spending watching that video, right? How long are people engaged with that video? Are they spending on average around 30 seconds, maybe 25% of the video? Are they taking a look at 50% of the video or 75%? Now, I'm going a little bit deep here wherein we segment that different types of audiences, right? Wherein we have a bunch of people who only watch 25%, a bunch of people who have watched 50%, and another bunch who watch 75%. Now, if you were going to ask me, people who are more engaged with your video, people who are more engaged with your brand video, let's say on the 75%, 50% segment, these are people who you actually want to speak more to. These are people that you want to re-engage to. See if they're interested. See if that just re-engaging them will some results. And this is what we call retargeting. And let's go to another example. My second example here is based on message responses. Now, I know a lot of our habit in pushing out ads is we do a lot of direct to messenger ads. I think that's really strong here. Conversational marketing is really strong here in the Philippines. But what a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually retarget that as well. So let's say today I run an ad. I probably spend around 10,000, 20,000 pesos, and I reach probably 100,000, 200,000 people. And not all of them actually took the action that I wanted them to take, which was to fill out a form maybe, or to get qualified or schedule a call, whatever it may be. Now again, going back, the reason why they stopped could be for a number of things, right? Either they're not really that interested, or maybe they got distracted. But the power of data is that we can actually segment that further and take a look at who's actually interested in working with you guys, right? And that's the power of retargeting again, wherein we can retarget people who have messaged our page, our Facebook page within a certain period of time. So let's say I have 200,000 people reach out to my page, message my page, and probably around 100,000 of them only took action. Wherein I have, let's say, a small group, let's say 10,000, 20,000 people who got distracted. They probably left out of that conversion journey. What we do as responsible marketers with data, we can actually retarget them through the same ads that we actually push out. Of course, the communication will be different. At this point in time, wherein you're messaging people, you're communicating with them in the second touch point, we use a different creative, right? Maybe you want to highlight a benefit of the job position they're applying for. Maybe you want to highlight a pain point, something that you can address versus what your competitors can't. And the beauty of this is that it merges with everything. In your chatbot, in your messenger bot, it probably leads to different landing pages as well. And in those landing pages, you have the Facebook pixel installed, and gathering all that data. And when you merge them all together, create a perfect ecosystem for you to find the right candidates. Now, going to my last part, wherein retargeting low-hanging fruits. And this is actually where one of my favorites, since this is we can be as creative as we want. And this is actually retargeting based on website visits, right? Going back to my initial example a while ago, when we have a career page, we probably have 10, 20 career positions available. And we were running ads just towards a career page. What we want to take a look at, assuming you have Google Analytics installed, assuming you have Facebook Pixel installed, is who is visiting which page, and how long are they spending on each page, and why aren't they taking action? And if they are not taking action, how can we realign with them, re-engage with them? And the answer is through retargeting. So let's say I have a position open for an upper management job versus I have an open position for a rank and file job. What you want to do, and I cannot stress enough how powerful this is that you can retarget people looking depending on what pages they are looking at based on the URL. So if I have a URL for a page URL with manager and a page URL with rank and file, how we retarget and how we talk to people looking at these pages will be different. So maybe for somebody in the rank and file, we retarget them with an ad that focuses on learning, focuses on flexible time. wherein, let's say, upper management, we focus on maybe the opportunity that you can take, that you'll be working directly under the CEO, whatever it may be. So this is how we can customize the communication very, very specifically based on what people are taking a look at. And this is retargeting based on your website visits. We can go a lot further by drilling down how long they spend on these website visits. So if I'm going to a more, let's say, advanced level, wherein we have a career page, one career page, and we have maybe 20,000 people taking a look at that page alone. So what we want to do is take a look at people who didn't take action. We take a look at, among those people who didn't take action, which of them actually spent the most time on that page. And those people actually read through the content of that page. So if you have that ideal persona in your head, that ideal persona that we actually built ourselves based on the data, then we already understand that's the person we want. That's the person that we gotta look out for. And then you leverage on machine learning again. You tell Facebook, you tell Google Analytics that these are the people that I actually want to track. These are the people that are the most ideal audiences for the type of position that I am hiring for, the type of talent that I'm looking out for. So essentially, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is retargeting is very, very powerful. You have a lot of options doing retargeting. This is only some of the few things that you can do with retargeting, but most people underestimate the power of retargeting. So let the data work for you, right? As marketers, especially in this digital age, our number one weapon is the data. As a performance marketer myself, we take a look at data points from end to end, meaning how much are we spending on a link click? How much are we spending to get somebody to actually take action? And how much are we spending to get the job filled? You know, those are three different data points that you want to use for your customer journey as you optimize and you go along. So which brings me to this point, right? And this is a formula, a simple formula that we always have to keep in mind, wherein we have your assumed behavior, right? Wherein you have a talent, probably takes, that has some sense of they actually want to take action. They haven't taken the action yet, but it looked like they might take the action. But then after understanding that behavior, we actually are presented with actual behavior wherein, oh wait, you know, I actually wanted to, but you know, I changed my mind, I'm not going to. So that's assumed behavior versus actual behavior. And then what we have to do here as marketers is that whenever we're doing ad executions, whether or not it's pushing out brand awareness, whether or not it's pushing out page post engagements, whether or not it's pushing out direct messenger ads, we always should have assumed behavior of what people will take. What we want to do next is actually understand what actually happens. So if our assumption is by spending 1,000, we'd probably get around 50 or 100 leads from spending 1,000. What is the actual behavior of that? Maybe it's higher. Maybe you're getting 300, 200. Maybe you're getting 50, which is lower than expected. But the next part is to always adjust and optimize based on the data that you have, right? So after you have that assumed behavior, after you have the actual behavior, what you want to do next, of course, assuming that you have that whole qualification process already in place, is to understand which of the leads, which among the people who actually took action are qualified talent. And based on that talent, how do we actually reach out to more of these individuals? So this is the power of data. This is how essentially I would suggest all digital marketers to understand and to always to work towards to. Always have an assumed behavior and take a look at the actual behavior that's happening and then adjust and optimize whatever happens next. Now, it's going to take a village, meaning the whole marketing ecosystem that we may probably want, from prospecting your talent to retargeting to having a follow-up system, probably through email, chat, a feedback loop, whatever it may be. It will take a village since marketing is an entire ecosystem. And there's a lot of work to be done. What I actually want to show you next is an example of a very simple funnel that how it looks like to building up your ecosystem. So this is how essentially a funnel will look like. A very simple funnel. So I'll speak from the left to the right. From the left side, you have organic traffic and your paid traffic, meaning you have people going into your LinkedIn, people going to your Instagram, people going to your Facebook, YouTube, Google, Twitter, whatever social channel it may be. They eventually end up visiting your job page. They end up visiting your career page, or they end up chatting with you through the messenger bot. And then you also have your paid traffic, right? Organic traffic and paid traffic are two things you want to be able to distinguish very properly to able to give you clean data. The same thing with paid traffic. With paid traffic, you lead them to the job page, you lead them to the career page, you lead them to the messenger bot. What happens next is if they land on the job page, career page, or the bot, the next thing that we probably want them to do, or we probably ask them, is to fill out the form, take action, answer some custom fields. And that's where the request info comes from, right? But then at this point, you'll be presented with, again, people who are not taking action. So this brings me back to retargeting. So people who did not take action based on the data that we have, that we found through the pixel, through Google Analytics, to GTM, we can retarget them again through different types of executions. And what I mean by that is we can retarget them with paid traffic, meaning we send them an ad, or if they are part of your subscribers to a bot, you can essentially send them a follow-up message, or probably follow up with them through email, right? So the goal here is for people who didn't take action, you want them to eventually take action. Same way as how when we're requesting info, the ideal action is that they complete the form. So at the end of the day, you will have people who complete the form and people who didn't. Now, before I proceed, something that I'd like to share here also, that it's very important as well to take a look at your time frames and your periods to the behavior of people. So in my experience, retargeting is best done within 7 days of actually your first touch point with the customer, right? So meaning if you hit the customer with an ad, within the next 7 days, if they have not taken action yet, this is the prime time to actually retarget them. And this is usually the case across the board, but also depending on your industry. And what happens there is, and this is based on the data also, and based on what I've seen, so once after that 7-day period, right? Once it reaches 14 days, once it reaches 30 days, if you have people who have not interacted with your brand, who have not taken action within 14 days, then you gotta tell your machine, you gotta tell Facebook, you gotta tell Google Analytics that, these are people that I don't want to spend my money on anymore. Essentially because we want to make sure that we're spending our ad budget, our ad spend on people of value, right? If it looks like people who have not taken action within 14 days are not worth it anymore, then stop the ads. It's as simple as doing exclusions on Ads Manager, doing exclusions on Business Manager, simple as that. And you can base it also on URLs. Following that, of course, once they going back to the funnel here, once they complete the form, what you want to do next, of course, is to qualify. And of course, once you qualify, that's when you get the lead. And when you get the lead, you can schedule a meeting. That's when you'll have a job interview. And that's what happens when you have the feedback loop. So this is a very basic example of what a funnel looks like, of a funnel that we build essentially for recruiting. Of course, if it gets too complex, probably you have 50 career pages. This web can grow a whole lot bigger. But this is something that I wanted to show you guys to keep it simple. Right? Awesome. So that's the end of my presentation. Again, my name is David Lim. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you all consultations as well. Usually we do audits for different companies. We essentially take a look at all your pages, your website, see what tracking you're doing, which ones you aren't, and then we'll give you high impact, high value, actionable insight at the very start. And this is all for free, of course. But yeah, thank you so much. And I'll give the floor to Carla.
Thank you so much, David, for everything that you said today. So thank you so much for sharing your insights on how we can optimize the different marketing strategies to target the right set of candidates. So Can you please stop sharing your screen, David?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me share my screen, guys. So again, thank you, David and Adam, for today's webinar. I'm pretty sure that our participants learned a lot from our speakers today. So thank you so much, Max, Adam, and David. It's a pleasure having you guys today. And now we're going to open the Q&A part of our webinar. David and Adam, can you please turn on your cameras? And I will stop sharing. So all of our participants can see you. Adam?
It says the host has stopped my camera.
Okay. So now we got a lot of questions from our participants, and we will start with the first one. Okay. So we have a lot of questions from our participants, so please bear with us with the time. And our first question is for Adam. So Adam, what kind of examples of recruitment ad photos are striking? Because I worry that it might not come across as professional.
Yeah, okay. Let me just share my screen. So I made every time I saw a good striking recruitment ad image on Facebook, I made a presentation. So I'll talk through some of these. I think this one is good because of the colors. Basically, the Facebook interface is very blue and gray. So whenever I see an orange or a red color, it stands out, and it's different from the patterns which are on Facebook. So that's striking, and that kind of makes people stop. Again, just sort of images of people's faces work. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a stupid face like this. It doesn't have to be a funny face. Just a face which people can make eye contact with. That stops people scrolling also. And again, you can see here stuff like this where it's colorful. They put stars in the advertisement. So really avoid things which have a lot of text like this one here, or you know, are a bit blank. What striking is colorful. So let me show you the example again. It's colorful, it's faces, and it's people doing the job. So it doesn't have to be unprofessional. It can be people in a professional setting doing that. It just has to have those elements.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Adam. So you can stop sharing your screen now. Our next question would be for David. So David, first question for you is, what kind of marketing strategies have you found to be most effective in attracting new candidates to a company?
Awesome, yeah. So for myself, I think it would really depend on how you position yourself as a brand, right? Again, going back to my presentation, I don't have any bias towards direct messaging advertising versus more brand-based advertising. So in my experience, if we're talking to, let's say, rank and file, let's say, a more direct messaging type of ad would usually be best, wherein probably you'd focus on the salary, probably you'd focus on the benefits of the specific job position, versus something more widespread, or more something that with heavy requirements, like a brand video. How I really see it is that the prerequisite, though, for you having to push out a more direct messaging campaign, something like what I presented, like Concentrics, is you got to make sure that your follow-up process after the first touch point is also very streamlined and very straightforward. Otherwise, when we have a good ad at the start and sometime in the customer journey at the middle point, it kind of gets kind of breaks up, then we don't want that. That's not a good candidate experience.
Yeah, I agree to that. Having a straightforward process in advertising or in making the candidates understand what you really mean is the way to go. And thank you for answering that. Thank you for your answer, David. So, guys, we have a lot of questions, or we have a couple of questions from our attendees, so we might extend a few minutes. So, please bear with us so we can accommodate all of your questions. So, the next question is for Adam. It's from an anonymous attendee. And his question is, do you have insights on which jobs in particular are more popular on specific job boards, like in Facebook, Indeed, JobStreet, LinkedIn, and etc.?
Okay. So this is a matter of audience, right? There's 3 broad audiences on these. I'll take Indeed, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So in Indeed, you would have people looking for a job. LinkedIn, you mostly have white collar professionals looking for, professional level jobs, office jobs, management positions. On Facebook, you have everyone. So everyone in that category, everyone else looking for a job, and people who are looking for blue collar jobs as well. So construction sites or working in retail. So in terms of what job ad works best on each platform, I would say on Facebook, it's really a matter of targeting the right audience. So you could put up anything on there because everyone is on it, and it's a matter of actually configuring the targeting correctly and using the techniques that David was recommending to actually get those people to apply. I found LinkedIn to be very good for more management positions, and especially using the messaging function to outreach to people, get a list of potential candidates, send them a message. And then Indeed, again, that's active job seekers. So what I mentioned earlier about the alternative calls to action, like leaving a send message or leaving their email, that's not going to be so relevant for Indeed because they will have a CV ready and they're actually looking for a job. So I hope that answers the question. Really, Facebook for everything, LinkedIn for more management positions, and then Indeed, active job seekers. So try and get their application there.
Thanks for your answer, Adam. I actually agree on that because here in the Philippines also, it's also the same thing. I would say that for Facebook, you can find their candidates that are open or is looking for an entry-level type of jobs. And with LinkedIn, more of the senior roles, so you can find candidates for more senior roles in that specific job board. And I think it all boils down to the recruitment team or the recruitment marketing team identifying their target markets as well. So they know which job boards or which job ads should they post on each job boards. So thank you, Adam. Our next question would be for David. So yeah, David, my question for you is, can you give us examples on conversion focused on landing pages?
Give you guys examples on conversion focused landing pages. Okay. I won't be able to show you guys exact pages immediately right now. I can actually send it over. I do have a few in mind. But essentially, the formula to create a conversion focused landing page is essentially almost the same all throughout. And it's very underestimated. So if you take a look at different landing pages, wherein the first thing what people do when they go to a landing page is put their slogan on top and probably put in their company slogan or something. The usual best converting landing pages, they don't rely on a slogan to back them up. What you want to do is create what we call a power statement at the very beginning, highlighting the pain points and benefits of your particular talent. And then once you have that header done, what you want to make sure down below is to highlight that even more. Probably add some brand pillars, probably go into specifics. The job description and putting the job descriptions and putting in the benefits and the details of the job, that's all fine to place in there. just make sure that you don't fill up a ton of your web page, right? Because you want to make sure that when somebody's scrolling to the web page, they don't just miss it out. Again, this is more of a A/B testing, since once you build that landing page, what you want to do is actually heat map the page afterwards and see which parts are actually people more focusing on more. So let's say if you have people focusing more on the benefits versus the pain points, or focusing more on the salary, then you can highlight that part more than everything else. So really, there's a back and forth process to this. Hope I answered the question.
I think you did. That's great suggestions and also recommendations on how they should design their landing page. And Talkpush actually offers that kind of service. So we build landing pages for our clients if they're interested and if there's a need. So if anybody of our clients or future clients would like to create their own landing page and do what David suggested, you can reach out to us and we can start talking about that kind of service. So our next question would be for Adam. So the question is, what are your thoughts on no resume screening? Adam, I think you're on mute.
Yep, got it. So, I mean, I use chatbots and I know Talkpush is chatbot. No resume screening is optimal for Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, and other social media sites. Because if you think about it, if you have 1,000 candidates, you can have a list of criteria which you would need basically for each person to check. For example, graduated high school. No resume screening will allow as many people as possible to give you the most basic information about them, so that you can only have conversations with people who are qualified. So it's easy to think about the benefit for you because you don't have to talk to people who won't be suitable. But from a candidate experience, no resume screening is actually better, because instead of them going away and making a resume for you, spending an hour on that, all they have to do is answer 3 or 4 questions. Then they can apply. If they're not qualified, they can be told so, and they'll save their time. So in terms of like their relationship to your brand, it's a much more friendly way and a much more fair way for you to take candidate information than actually using a resume. So I'm all for it. These days it's not difficult to implement, so I would encourage you to make the first part of your screening taking a little bit of information, whether that's through a chatbot or a form, and then taking over from there, for the candidate's sake and yours.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Adam. It actually makes sense. So we have 2 more questions for David, and one would be, what is bounce rate? So one of the attendees would like to know what is bounce rate.
Oh, sure, yeah. So bounce rate essentially is the percentage of people who landed on your page, but they don't go to another page. So essentially is if I have 100 people going to one landing page, and 50 of them don't move to another page, then that's a 50% bounce rate. That's essentially what it means.
Okay, great. And then the last question for you is, do you have thoughts on how we should approach our ad to assure that we target our talents that we want?
Oh, interesting question. Yeah, that can be answered in a lot of ways. First and foremost is we have to build out our customer persona. And building on what Adam said also at the beginning of the presentation, is we take a look at their hopes, fears, their dreams, their different pain points. And after assessing that, you can actually create the perfect advertisement for this particular candidate that we're looking out for. But the next step actually would be to take a look at targeting these different candidates, right? At the back end of Ads Manager, you can definitely highlight specific interests or a certain age group or a certain demographic to your specific client that you want to hire. And you can also specify it based on location. So if you're hiring different types of candidates in different parts of the nation, then you want to make sure to have that hyper-targeted location parameters set up as well, right? So let's say Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao, and you can actually change the way you speak to these different candidates, change the language of how you speak to these different candidates. And of course, you want to take a look at essentially map out their day, right? Their customer journey. So once having they interacted with you, whether or not it's through the landing page, through the chatbot, through whatever method, and if they don't take action, or even if they do, what happens next, right? So if somebody, let's say, leaves through that process, somebody who's very qualified, what happened to this specific candidate that must have stopped in their tracks during that customer journey? What we want to do is re-engage with this candidate somehow. Again, through different targeting methods where you have the chatbot, which Talkpush can definitely do, and you have emails, or you can push out paid media as well, different ways. But honestly, I might go too long into answering this question, but if you, let's say, it would also depend on the size of your company. And this is, I'm very particular about this, since each of us have different ad spend budgets as well. So if you're a bigger company and probably have a strong recall, you want to go for the more brand awareness type of targeting, especially if you're doing mass hiring, especially if you're doing a lot of fast hiring and you need them quickly. So I definitely go for that brand awareness stage and see how that works for you, paired up with, of course, your chatbot as well. But let's say you have a very strict ad budget and you want to be very meticulous of how you spend, you could probably try out a more direct response type of advertising. And these are more on the messenger ads, as we call it, wherein you can highlight almost immediately, let's say the salary, the benefit, the pain point, and probably put in the location and everything. And you have a specific objective, which is for them to click the ad and probably go down that flow. So end of the day, it's a lot of A/B testing. It would really depend up to the audience to see how they want to play around with it. But then again, adjust and optimize.
Yeah, I actually noticed a lot of recruitment teams from different companies that they're actually building a celebrity or a personality of their brand. And from there, they're creating their own story so that it could match, or the responses of those brands matches their target market. So they're updating it every now and then. So it will be like like it's relative or related to the target market, and they can easily relate. The target market can easily relate to the brand or their marketing materials. And if you guys would like to know more about customer personas, we actually created an article on how you can create your own candidate personas, and I think that someone from our team already shared it on the chat box, so you can check out those links or go to our blog site, so it's there. So yeah, that's it. So we have 5 more questions, and these questions would be for both of you, so you can answer both. First is, can you tell us about your clients' candidates or your specific candidates that you found through your social posts, and what is the conversion rate? So, David, would you like to go first?
Sure, yeah. So in my experience, we have done a lot of these recruitment ads through different numbers of ways, wherein we do it for real estate agencies. We probably have done it for more specific need clients, like they need really look out for technical requirements. I'd say in terms of, let's say, conversion rate, depending on how much we spend and depending on the traffic, it would probably, I'm taking a look at as high as a 5% conversion rate, probably to a benchmark of 1 to 2%. So that's a conversion rate that I usually look out for. But of course, if you're very you're a bigger brand with more budget to spend, you should probably increase your benchmark more. I would say if you can bring it up to 6%, that would probably be the most ideal situation.
Okay, how about you, Adam?
I was just looking at some of my ads there. So I think, yes, 6% is a really good amount. I'm just looking here. So we got, for one ad for nurses in Canada, the one I was referring to. So from that, we got 40 applicants, and in total 313 people actually clicked on it. So that means that at the bottom 40 were qualified of the 313 who clicked on it. So just over 10%. So as I mentioned earlier, like the average click-through is very poor on Facebook. Really, if you can beat that, like 1% of people who see the ad actually click and start a conversation, I think that's good, but really always be aiming high for that 6%, which David mentioned.
Okay, great. So guys, let's watch out for 6 to 7% conversion rate. But if we have more budget, we can go for at least 11%, right, David and Adam?
Yeah, I think on this, don't be too preoccupied about the numbers, because obviously if it's harder to fill roles, a lot more of your audience is going to be unqualified. Really, I say like the KPI for my job ads is like the cost per applicant per ad compared to the other channels or using a recruitment agency. So if I can get 100 applicants for $500, for example, and make 50 hires, how much am I saving if I would use an agency, or if I would use a job board, or if I wouldn't be able to fill this role in the first place?
Okay, that makes sense as well. So we have here one question that I think would be really important with the situation that we're currently in. So the question is, do you have any suggestions which ad will work best for industry shifters, especially now that there are lots of people who are suddenly unemployed because of the pandemic? So example of the industry shifters would be OFWs, former hotel employees, those seafarers as well. So any suggestions that you would like to give our clients?
So yeah, again, it's going to depend on the job, but what you need to really do is dig deep into the reasons people would want to take on a new industry or a job in a new industry right now. So if you're targeting talent from the hospitality industry, why would they ever want to give that up and come and work for you? And I like to think of it as asking several why questions. So say it's someone who was a manager in a hotel, you would say, why do you want a new job? Oh, I need money. Why do you need money? Oh, I need to, pay for my family, my lifestyle. And then you can actually dig deep into the reasons people would come and work for you. So you can bring out the salary package, the opportunities for earning more which exist. So if those industry shifters, they're not shifting industry because they love BPO. They're shifting industry because their industry has died. So it will be back, but you need to be sympathetic about that, and also at the same time talk about the reasons and show empathy about why they're moving and how you can welcome them into your industry and give them what they need at the moment.
Okay, what is your thought on that, David?
Yeah, so this is very interesting for me, since Adam actually touched base on understanding the persona and why they'd actually want to give up what they already have versus going into this new role that probably you're offering, new position. I've seen a lot of different industries actually try to entice different people from all types of education, all types of experience. And really the best way to go about this, I honestly believe, is through your own employee testimonials, your testimonials within your own company. And you gotta find the right one, of course. You can't just essentially pick anyone and just have them do a testimonial. That is an option, but you want to make sure to highlight that specific person who have had the same experience, that would probably have the same experience as the people you are looking out to hire. In the video I sent earlier from VXI, they actually did a pretty good job doing this. So we're taking a look at enticing college students. We're taking a look at probably getting to hire people who are already retired or probably want to find more work, or people who don't have a college degree. So all of these things definitely, and really the best way I'd say, and this is not just with recruiting but overall, is to you don't need to sell yourself. Let other people sell you. I mean, that's a very basic principle of marketing, wherein you have other people build your credibility for your brand, and really that's the best way to do it with this specific scenario. And the rest of the details, like targeting OFWs and targeting them, that's the easy part. Honestly, that's the easy part. What you gotta really focus on is trying to make sure your message is clear. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that.
So thank you for sharing your suggestions on how to target those people who are looking for jobs right now, or the industry shifters. So now, since we already extended so much, like 15 minutes of your time already, we're going to answer one last question, and then we'll just email you guys the answers. Or you can just send messages to David and Adam on their LinkedIn pages if you want to ask them more questions. So for the last question, I would like to know, why is it important for the recruiters to think like a marketeer? So Adam, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to answer this in the context of advertising on social media. And really, it's simple. So there are marketeers who are competing for your audience. They're professionally trained and they are experts at doing it. Whenever you create an advertisement on Facebook and you target a certain audience, obviously there's going to be other advertisers who are trying to get those people to click their ads. And Facebook will actually show the most engaging and the most best converting ads to their audience, because they want people to stay on the platform. So if you think about it, you are competing with other marketeers, and for that reason, you have to sort of think in their mindset and use some of their strategies and techniques. So if you look here, you can see an ad sponsored by The Hustle. You can see another ad here. You see how it stands out? If more people click this ad than yours, Facebook will favor showing them, or people like them, this ad in the future. That's why it's so important to implement what I recommended on social media, where you use an image like this, which jumps out at people. You use an offer, so you can see here, their offer is 20% off. And then you use an appropriate call to action, which is shop now. So you can see all these good ads will have an offer in them. This one shows me market trends. That one gives me a discount. Because Facebook promotes ones which get the most clicks and engagements, you need to be making offers too. You need to think like marketeers so that you can compete and actually have your ads seen and convert into candidates. So that's why it's important.
David?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Definitely, I definitely agree with Adam. For myself, I think the answer is very simple. The reason why we actually need to think like a marketer is it'll give us the best chance to actually get the talent that we're actually looking out for. Simple as that. If you think like a marketer, you understand the data points that you need to track. You understand the customer journey mapping. You understand the flows that you need to take into account. And eventually, at the end of the day, once you merge all of these different strategies, executions, theories, creatives all together, you will have the best chance to get the talent that they're actually looking out for, that you actually want. So really, it's simple as that.
Thank you, Adam and David. I totally agree with the both of you. So, being a recruiter, you should also be able to think like a marketeer. So you know how to brand your company and also the positions that you have, and also attract and eventually attract the right talent to apply for your job positions or job postings. And that's it, guys. So this is the end of our webinar. So thank you again, Adam and David, for your time, and thank you to everyone who stayed at the end of this Q&A or at the end of this webinar. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today, for the love and support you're giving Talkpush in our webinars. And we'll definitely have more coming up. So please like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn for updates. And we'll be sending you the presentation and the video recording of this call. So see you and stay safe. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Adam.
Bye.
Bye, David. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.